did we get the perfect jobs report on Friday, August 4th? What's going on with Las Vegas real estate, according to Brian Lebo, and what might it tell us about the rest of the country? We could talk about luxury watches. We could talk about various earnings that occurred on Friday. Let's get into it, and let's start with the all-important jobs number. As of last week, I let you know there were two economic numbers that were going to be important on our journey to see if we are at terminal rate or not. One of them occurred Friday. It was the U.S. jobs number. And if you remember, on Wednesday, it might have been Tuesday, we got the ADP report. ADP report was strong. This is the second month in a row where ADP would have led you astray if we didn't remember what happened last month. Looks like the U.S. jobs added 187,000. That was once again less than expected. It was expected to be 200,000. Remember, this is something we talked about. If the job market was screaming higher and we added 300 or 350, you could pretty much put a September rate hike back on the table. That did not occur. However, we did see the unemployment rate tick down again. We were at 3.6. We are now at 3.5. The all-important wage inflation is now 0.4 month on month and 4.4 year on year. Again, the estimate was 0.3 and 4.2. I don't think some people might want to talk about a wage inflation spiral. I think that is a big to-do about nothing. As we have talked on this channel repeatedly during the pandemic, during this thing that we all went through, we saw nominal wage growth, sure, but we did not see real wage growth. In fact, real wage growth has been with us for 3 or 4 months. So I believe anybody kind of trying to create fear out of 4.4% wage growth is over their skis. Again, we would like to see wage growth be higher than inflation. Not a lot higher, but higher nonetheless. In fact, wage inflation, real wage inflation, frankly, is something I hope we have for 3, 4, and even 5 years. This is something I think we need. In fact, I think wage inflation is so important that I'm banking on it to be what gets affordability back in line. So again, very interesting. I did notice that 63,000 jobs were created in healthcare, while I think it was IT. Yeah, IT lost 24,000. So again, the jobs report on Friday was kind of the perfect Goldilocks, gave something to everyone going forward. So that was the jobs number on Friday. Let's talk about Vegas. I believe Las Vegas is painting a picture that actually is leading me to call something really early. You know, I like to do this. I like to make early calls. I will celebrate if I'm right and acknowledge if I am wrong. I want to tell you right now, I think August existing home sales will tick below 4 million. Now, in order to hold me accountable to this, it will be reported in September. So don't get confused by what I'm saying. I'm saying the August numbers for existing home sales will be below 4 million. That will be reported probably the third week of September. Why do I say that? Folks, let's look at the numbers that Brian Lebo gave us on his channel for Las Vegas in July. Transactions in July of 2023 were a paltry 1,765. Last year, in July was not a good month. Last year was 1,902. So Vegas was down 7.2%. And if you want to go all the way back to 2021, why wouldn't you? There was 3,203 home sales. That's a 45% drop. Now, this is the reason for my very bold and admittedly very early call about August. Again, it's August 6th, and I'm already talking about the month like it's over. It's kind of a wild call. But here's the deal. July was a paltry 1,765 closed transactions. Coming into August, Las Vegas had, I want to make sure I get this number right, 356 less pendings. Now, I want you to understand the difference between pendings and closings. Closings, closed escrow, done deal, money wired, everybody good. Pending, homes fall out of escrow a lot of reasons. And if you have 356 less pendings, what do you think the fallout rate is? 10%? 20%? Appraisals, inspections, buyer can't qualify, buyer got scared, whatever the reason is. Yeah. I think what I've said for years now, what happens in Las Vegas first happens in the country. This was further validated by what I got from King County, aka Seattle, what I got from Adrian in Orange County. Folks, I think September existing home sales will go below 4 million. What I don't know is the seasonal adjustment. There will be a seasonal adjustment on that number, and I'm not in the weeds enough to know what that's going to be, but it's going to be bad in my opinion. The interesting thing about Vegas is prices are up. Yes, folks, as I've said many times, and Brian makes a joke of it in his video, transactions are down. Prices are supposed to be down. That's not how it works. That's a very simplistic view of supply and demand. What we are suffering through is what I called over a year ago. We have taken the supply curve down and the demand curve down. Thus, you need a lot less transactions. So when you have 1,765,000 transactions, and that is a very, very low number, you might have a lot of wealthy cash buyers buying up here, and the medians is always in the middle. So it's a simplistic view to say, hey, transactions down, price down. That's not how it always has to work. Let's talk about the secondhand luxury watch market. I've talked about the stimulus ballers a lot on this channel. I think stimulus ballers and their Rolex watches are going to be one of the first things that they dump to raise cash. And it looks like the overall luxury watch market is down 31% from their peak. Yes, luxury watch prices are crashing. I put a crash at 20% or more, just so we're on the same page. Luxury watches down 31%. Looks like Rolex is down 12% and Patek Philippe is down 19%. How about some earnings? We got some big earnings on Friday. We got Apple, beat top line, beat bottom line. But you saw weakness in their peripheries, right? iPhones, iPads, things of that nature. In fact, services made up for a lot of the growth. Amazon destroyed numbers, beat top line, beat bottom line, raised guidance. Airbnb beat top line, beat bottom line. But again, nights booked are decelerating, lower than expected. They were expected to have 117 million nights booked. They only had 115. Folks, the Airbnb kerfuffle is just getting started. So again, lots of that. Other earnings, let me look. Bookings Holding. Booking Holdings is one of those travel sites that I would look for. Beat top line, beat bottom line, and expects gross bookings to grow in Q3. Fortnite, I actually don't know how to say that. The reason I'm looking at them is they're in cybersecurity. When you work in software, which I did for 20 years, there's always one software component that will get budget when times are tough, and that is cybersecurity, right? You are always looking to defend the bad guy. And it looks like they gave a very weak forecast. So in my world, when the cybersecurity companies are lowering forecasts, not a good luck for the rest of enterprise software. That is my opinion. Open Door. Surprise does not close door, used to be the joke. Open Door gave a very weak forecast going forward. I don't know if you know this, but I found this stat interesting. What percent of US adults are millionaires? Think about it. What do you think? What percent of adults in the United States are millionaires? The answer is 8.8%. There are roughly 22 million millionaires. I got to tell you, I don't think I would have guessed 8%. In fact, I probably would have guessed something sub 5%. So pretty interesting. I am left thinking about the consumer after all of these earnings. We got Apple, Amazon, Airbnb, bookings. What is going on? Is it still revenge season? Is it still time to spend on services, not stuff? I don't know. Look at those Amazon numbers. Pretty solid numbers. Anything else to talk about? Oh, yes. If you are in California, it looks like the California government and Gavin Newsom wants to pay you 40 grand. Yes, $40,000 to build a tiny home in your backyard. This apparently is already in the budget, but we don't have the rules, how to apply, what do they want, all of that. But very interesting stuff. And then lastly, shout out to John Burns, one of the best to ever do it. John Burns Research talks about 2.1 million households created in the last 12 months. Why is that important? Households really become the kindling, specifically new households become the kindling for first-time home buyers. Not always, of course. Sometimes you buy it when you're single, but household formations is the sign for increased home buying, first-time home buyers typically. So, folks, that's what I have for the financial news on August 4th. Do me a favor, check out my new channel, Financial News. I will put a link below. We are looking to get that channel monetized. We're about 10% of the way there. All we do is we take the videos from this channel, they add some upticks, and they load them going forward. I'd really appreciate a quick view, maybe a subscribe. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, and then we can start monetizing that channel as well. Thank you. You guys are the best. Happy Friday, August 4th. Later.